In the previous lesson, we created a PDF of our grading plan. If you remember, we edited this grading feature by going right-clicking on it and editing the fill grading style. I often find that those are difficult to control. I like that create grading when doing my design, because I can grade down at whatever slope I wish to establish where I'm matching to existing, like I've done here. However, I don't like these displaying this sort of clumsy looking slope when I am displaying my grading plan. It's very good for design, but when I want to display my grading, I often explode these grading features. And you can do whatever you wish. I just want to show you what I do. So I'm going to type X for the explode command, and I'm going to explode this line here at the bottom of the grading feature. Notice you're just left with what is called a 3D polyline. I'm also going to explode this one and this one. So I have 4 3D polylines. So I've clicked on them. I've clicked on one, right click, select similar, and on the menu bar I'm going to come up to grading and create feature lines from objects. So basically I'm creating feature lines from those 3D polylines, and I want to erase the existing 3D polyline, so make sure that's ticked and it's replaced with a feature line. And if you click on grading, edit the feature line elevations, you'll notice all those elevations which should be at existing are maintained. So I'm going to click on one, select similar, and those 4 what were once 3D polylines are selected. I'm going to right click again and add to surface as break line, and I want to add them to my FG surface, so I'll click OK. So I'm going to click on tool space, come down to surfaces. I'm going to turn on my surface to make sure it looks okay, because you never know what could happen. I could have a 0 elevation on one of those feature lines, but we can take a look and it looks okay. It seems to have lost my boundary, so I'm going to come down to definition, click on this boundary here. I'm going to delete the boundary from the tool space. Notice I'm not deleting it from my drawing, but I'm going to click on boundaries, right click, click add, and click OK, select your boundary, and now it's updated. And what I often do is I click on it, right click, click object viewer, and where did that go? I think there's an exaggeration on it because it's sort of difficult to control right now, but you can see I have no peaks in there. And if you had a peak, you would see, if you had a 0 elevation, you would see a big peak going down. So that's okay. So I've deleted my grading feature. I'm going to turn off my surface now. And I want to show you another way of how I display my 3-to-1 sloping. I've created a layer actually in another drawing. I've drawn these 2 polylines and I'm going to cut them in here to this plan, and you'll see it's a simple polyline that I've drawn along top of slope. So that's my top of slope, and I've drawn another feature line along my bottom of slope. So it's going to be something like that. I've used all lines, but you can even convert to arcs, so you have a nice round feature out here. I could have made this sloping a bit nicer you'll see what I mean once I finish this. So actually I'm going to make an arc here. Remember, I'm just adjusting the feature line, and on top of that I put these 2 layers on a layer called slope. I put these 2 polylines on a layer called slope. So I basically have this top of slope line and this bottom of slope line. And you'll notice with this lesson I have included a file. It's called an LSP file, and I use that file to create my 3-2-1 sloping. So I also want you remember, this is mainly just I'm using this to display my grading. So I want it to look as nice as possible, so I'm going to spend a little time to make sure it's okay. But this is my top of slope and bottom of slope. I'm now going to load that LSP file. I'm going to type app load, and it's LSP file. It's called batter, so load that one and close. And I want to make sure that my OSNAP, it needs to be off. So turn off F3. We don't want to see OSNAP. Type batter. Select your interval. You can play around with this. So I'm going to try 2. Select your reference line. I'm going to click my top of slope, and that's type F for fill, and select my bottom of slope and hit enter. And now it's generating just simple line work, rather than you going along and drawing this in manually, which could take a long time. It has, using that top of slope and bottom of slope line, it's generated some nice sloping for me. And I often prefer to use this when displaying my sloping, because you know, you can go through and adjust all these lines. Remember, the shorter line is shown at the top of slope. That's how we show sloping in a grading plan. So now I have this nice slope. I'm going to leave you do this side. So remember, you are going to draw a simple polyline. Make sure you put it on the slope layer. You want all of this to be on a specific layer. Create a top of slope line and a bottom of slope line, and then using the batter command, generate 3-to-1 sloping. And you'll see how much nicer it looks on your finished presentation plan. Something else I want to show you is you can have as many different styles for your spot elevations as you want. Also in here, I have a style. So if you click the top of curb spot elevation, right click and click label properties, go to general and go to surface spot elevation, you can create a style called top of curb. I put TC, which stands for top of curb, and using the match command, MA, match properties, I can match to that one. Actually, it didn't work with match properties. I used to think it did. So I'm going to try that again. Match properties to that one. There you go. It did work. So if you want, you can change all your top of curb spot elevations to show top of curb. And so I'll do that again. Click a spot elevation, right click, click label properties, and change it to FG top of curb. You might have to move your label a bit now. So now I'm going to turn on my topo survey XREF. I'm going to go into tool space, turn on my existing ground surface, 0.5 and 1 meter contours. I'm going to go back into my grading plan. So I'm in paper space now, and you can do a file plot preview to see how your sloping looks, and you can print a PDF again. So download the AutoCAD file for this lesson and try using the sloping LSP routine, the batter command I mean. So remember, you have to load it using upload, and then you type batter to use it, and you can play around with the interval in there.